Hi, I'm Beth Howard, and welcome to episode 4 of Stay Calm and Bake Pie. I'm the author of this cookbook, Ms. American Pie, and I'm bringing you free pie lessons from here in Southeast Iowa on our farm, affectionately known as Camp Doug, but if you add an H on the end, it's Camp Dough. So we've already made apple, triple berry crumble, and banana cream, and today we're going to make key lime pie. And key lime pie is in the chapter of my cookbook called Pies to Lift Your Spirits. And I think being in lockdown this long, I think we all could use a little raised spirits right now. Today we have a special baker for you, a surprise guest. I'm not doing the demo, Doug is. Doug's a third-generation farmer. He and his brother, Dennis, work nearly 1,000 acres of land that's been in their family for over 100 years. He spends his day feeding his cows and herding them to fresh grass and checking on them in the pastures. And during calving season, sometimes he even has to give them a bottle. I know he does this because I find the empty bottles in the sink. When I moved here, I thought farmers went to Home Depot to buy their fences. But not these guys. They build their own. They even cut down trees to make their own fence posts. Doug plants seeds of corn, soybeans, wheat, and more. And after the seeds grow, he harvests them. He bales his own hay, the old-fashioned way in square bales. He doesn't like to be indoors, even when he's not farming. But when the weather is bad, you might find him in the kitchen, making pie. He got his first pie lesson from me when I lived in the American Gothic house. And he's made quite a few pies since then, but his style's different than mine, which is why I'm going to be interrupting the pie lesson a couple of times to point out the differences of how I would make the pie compared to Doug. But I just want to add up front that his pie is going to turn out amazing, and it's going to prove the point that it doesn't matter what tools you use or what variation of your ingredients. You make your pie the way you want to make your pie. You just find what works for you.
Okay, I can usually do this without consulting the recipe book, but just to make sure, the fresh squeezed lime juice, the 4 egg yolks, 1 can of sweetened condensed milk.
Key lime is one of the easiest pies to make. It's just a few simple ingredients. And if you don't have the graham crackers on hand, try substituting saltines. If you don't have sweetened condensed milk, you can make your own. It's just milk, butter, sugar, and vanilla, but you have to stand over the stove and stir for about a half hour. So if you're up for that, at least there's a way. And if you don't have limes, but you have lemons, that's workable too. So if you don't have the ingredients on hand, don't worry about it. There are other substitutions, and it can still be really good.
I'm going to get the butter ready, so I have to chop it up and put it in the microwave. And one of the things I'm famous for is just keeping it simple. The recipe calls for 7 tablespoons, and lo and behold, there's 8 tablespoons in a stick. I just use a whole stick. It still turns out to be pie crust.
Doug is right about using the extra butter. Extra butter is always good.
Last December, Bea and I were in California visiting friends and relatives, and we stopped for lunch at the Blue Plate Oysterette. They had key lime pie on the menu. It was some of the best key lime pie we'd ever had. So obviously Bea was kind of interested. She started asking ingredients. Turns out he used the same ingredients she did. So then it was just a matter of what do we do different. So been experimenting a little since then.
I also learned when we went to the Blue Plate Oysterette that the one thing they did do differently than me was they used a lot more butter in their graham cracker crust.
Now I need to crunch up graham crackers. The plastic bag is what I put the graham crackers in to roll them with the rolling pin. So I put about a third of them in at a time and roll them. It's a Ziploc bag, but guess what? You don't need to close the Ziploc. Just keep them in the other end. There are 9 in a sleeve, and I use 11, so it takes a little more than a sleeve of graham crackers.
I just use one sleeve of crackers so that I don't have to open a second sleeve and then have the remaining crackers go stale. And I put them all in the bag at the same time and crush them, and I just find that that saves a little bit of time.
Get them so they're powdered up but still chunks, so you can see what it looks like, sort of. Keep in mind these hands are clean, they've been washed. They're farmer hands. The calluses and nicks and whatnot make them look kind of ratty, but they've been washed. Break them up first, and then they roll better. Okay, here's our bowl of crumbs, and it's powdered and thing. It looks like kind of like grape nuts. Here's the butter. It's all melted, no chunks now. Just get it all mixed in. Let it soak into the graham crackers a little bit. Okay, our pie dish. It rhymes with fish. You can tell we're in Southern Iowa. Yeehaw. Pushed out against the edges. And now for the magic tool. Working around the edges. Getting it pushed out. Filled up to the top. This is a handy glass because it'll come in handy later, because after the pie is done you have to wait for it to cool before you can put the whipped cream on. So then you take this very same glass and put some ice cubes in it and a little bit of good rum, and you sit and wait. So now we go back around again and kind of tidy up. Key lime pie calls for rum. Apple pie, then I'd recommend bourbon. But for key lime pie, there's a good rum from Venezuela called Diplomatico. There's also a good one from Barbados called Bamboo. It has you can smell banana when you take a sniff, but when you taste it, it has a little bit of a hint of butterscotch. And of course, there's Appleton's Estate from Jamaica. You can really get that cane molasses. Any of them would work fine while you're waiting for your pie to be ready to eat. Our oven's a little funky, so I've learned that 12 minutes.
A word about the limes. You don't have to use key limes for key lime pie. You can just use regular limes. Well, they're actually called Persian limes if you want to get technical. But, you know, just like the apples and everything else we use for pie ingredients, sizes vary. The amount of juice that you're going to get out of a lime is going to vary. And I will tell you this also, no offense to the people in Key West, Florida, but these limes, the regular limes, they taste just as good as key lime, and they're a lot easier to find, and they're a lot easier to squeeze, and it takes fewer limes to get that half a cup or 3/4 of a cup of juice. So don't worry about the limes, just use whatever limes. And in fact, I did a taste test when I spent a month in Key West, Florida. It's actually where I spent time working on my cookbook, and I did a taste test with people that lived in Key West on the key lime pie, and they all picked the pie with the regular limes as their favorite. Doug uses a grater like this. He says he uses it for stability. I use this zester. This is a tool made by a company called Microplane, and it's actually made for zesting. I prefer this, but you don't have to have the special gadgets. And as you can see, this works just fine.
More than enough. Use the lime zest not in the pie filling, but just on the top. The filling is just a little creamier that way. Maybe I make up for it by using more lime juice.
I love the lime zest. He doesn't put it in the custard, but I do, and I put a lot more lime zest on top of mine. So I probably would have used this whole thing. And if I want more zest on my pie, I can just sprinkle whatever is left over on top of the whipped cream when I go to eat my slice.
Slice some limes. I used to use the old juicer. I remember as a kid, Mom always had an old glass one that we used forever. But lo and behold, this lime squeezer is just the cat's meow. And you would think you'd put it in like that because it would fit really nice. No, you put it face down so that it can push that juice out. And then squeeze. Look at that, turns it inside out. I think I'm gonna quit. That's plenty. Now we're gonna have to have gin and tonics or something to use this extra lime. Now it's time for eggs. We need 4 egg yolks. Sort the eggs from the whites.
When he separated his egg yolks from the egg whites, he just did it one-handed. As you saw in my banana cream pie demo, I throw the egg back and forth between my hands and let the egg whites slip through my fingers. And he just puts the whole egg in the bowl and lifts it up and lets the egg whites slip through his fingers. And it works. So I'm not telling you my way is the right way. This is kind of like a he said, she said. This is just, I wanted to tell you the way I do it.
It's just the way I do it. And now, we need an extra bowl because we need to save 2 whites to mix with the filling. Oh. Yolk went to break, so we're just gonna. Never works perfect. There'll be a little yolk left with the white. I'll rinse my hands off. Okay, sweetened condensed milk, lime juice. I've just added the lime juice, and now I'm going to add the sweetened condensed milk. Now, this is the trick. This stuff is sticky and never likes to come out very well, and do it without cutting your fingers on the edge. You don't want to waste any. Okay, now it's time to mix my ingredients together.
I don't know why he's using this tiny little thing. This is the pitcher I use for the ice water when I'm making pie dough. I would use a big bowl, but that's just me.
I like doing it in the sink because then it doesn't splatter everywhere.
All right, he's mixing his eggs with this thing, which to me is overkill. I would just use this.
Actually, the first time I did this, it was the old hand crank mixer. Electric mixer is quite an improvement. Now I'm going to fluff up the egg whites, 2 egg whites.
You don't even have to use the egg whites at all. But if you are going to use them, you get the eggs so fluffy that you want to fold it in to the egg yolks because it really gives it some lift.
Mix a little more.
Doug doesn't do it that way. He just mixes them and then throws them in with the rest. And I'm like, hey, you know what? It works. But again, optional. You can do no egg whites at all and just do the egg yolks.
It's jiggly. See how it custard yet? We'll give it I think the next 3.5 minutes or so. See the nice divot where the oven thermometer fell off the rack and landed in the pie? So that's just one of the minor dangers of trying to get it right. You have too many tools, and I'm not good at juggling. Anyway, now it's cool enough that I can pick it up, so it's time to go in the fridge. Now the hard part is sit down and wait. So just grab a couple ice cubes. And here is that fancy tool, the graham cracker crust presser. And we will find this wonderful Venezuelan rum. Cheers to baking pie. I'm going to make whipped cream with sugar and whipping cream. So, 3 tablespoons.
And for the whipped cream, what? How can you make whipped cream in this dinky little thing? Again, I would use a big bowl.
I'm not using a small mixing bowl. I'm using just the right size. It's much handier than a bigger mixing bowl. Whipping cream on top, and although I really love whipping cream, when we were kids growing up we called it cotton salad because we just ate it plain, but something about if you put too much on it's the wrong ratio, so I don't use it all. Now we add a little lime zest on top that I saved from the limes earlier. It gives a little zest. It also just gives a little more color on the top. And just try and sprinkle it on. Look at that. The results, I think, are going to be that we covered up the little scar that we made when we dropped the oven thermometer, and it looks pretty good. Now the taste test. Somebody's living the dream, getting a big piece. It's snack time. Bedtime snack. There's a nice little bit of a tang from the lime flavor, so I think we hit it. There's always room for guys in the kitchen too. You make a little space for them and let them do their thing. So, thank you for your time. Good luck making pie, everyone.
What can you do to go the extra mile? Cheer up your world, make everyone smile. These little things go a long, long way. So let's make a little something good to eat today. of that. You made a masterpiece.